Hi guys, welcome back to the Shannon Show podcast. Hello if you're new. So today's episode is going to be a review of Love Island 2020 episode 21. So obviously we all kind of know it's just going to be the continuation of Casa Amor, and we're all basically waiting to see what Callum was going to say to Finley's question when he asked her if he had any sexual attraction for Shauna. So continuing on from yesterday, Jess reiterates that she doesn't trust Mike and that she thinks that he is in Casa Amor cracking on with somebody else, so that's what she's going to do. George gets his grafting on with Demi. It's very cringe. He's talking about, I never used this tactic before. I'm laying it on thick. He's talking about, the future. I think that probably wasn't the best tactic. I think he probably should just kept it at flirty banter. I'm not really sure what his tactic is. If somebody did the same chat up lines to me, I would be a bit pit off. Demi seems to be entertaining it though. But, what I've noticed throughout this episode is that she keeps mentioning Naz. Like, there's this thing in her head that says, don't look like you're enjoying entertaining these other men so much. Remember to mention Naz to her script. Rebecca and Jordan kiss. Obviously, Rebecca made it very clear that she is about Jordan, that she thinks that Jordan is the sort. So she's basically staked her claim on Jordan. And I think Jordan is happy to, be Rebecca's man in the house. He wants to be a permanent resident. Rebecca's the easiest way to do that. Natalie, she moves on to Luke M. I think actually Luke M was probably her first choice, actually, anyway. But yeah, she moves on to Luke. I think she was talking to Finn before, but then obviously Finn basically said he was all about Paige. Yeah, she's moving on to Luke M. Luke M seems to be feeling it. Obviously, Luke M's first choice was Molly, but it looks like Molly is all about Callum. And yeah, Natalia is also a very beautiful girl. So I think he generally does have attraction for Natalia, even though obviously he preferred Molly. But I feel like Natalia has a pretty good chance of securing Luke M. Side note, yesterday I totally forgot to talk about this Jade girl, and I almost forgot again. I don't know where she has been on this whole show. Like, her screen time has actually been disgustingly rude. But just to say my little piece on her, again, I think she's a decent looking girl, but judging by her screen time, I think that we are going to forget her very quickly and she's going to be one of the unsuccessful ones, unfortunately. After that, it was bedtime. Priscilla shares a bed with Mike. Finn is the only boy who sleeps outside by himself. So I feel like it's very clear that Finn is about Paige and he's not going to stray. Demi asked Biggs to sleep with her, which I thought was quite interesting. Since she's all about Naz, apparently. Jordan sleeps with Rebecca. Obviously, I guess they're basically like a couple now. Naz slept in a bed with someone, but I'm not sure who it was. I'm assuming it was Eva, but yeah, could somebody clarify who it was? Because obviously Luke was staying in the main bedroom. Was he sharing a bed with anyone, and who was it? Let me know who it was if he did share a bed with anyone. But obviously the next day, Luke T's in the confessional basically saying that he misses Shanice and that this whole experience has made him realise how much he really likes her. So I think it's clear to say that Luke T is going to be smart and stick with Shanice. Obviously, yesterday he was talking about getting to know the other girls, but I think he definitely slept on it and thought, you know what, I like Shanice. It's not gonna look good me playing around, especially when these girls don't even like me. So let me just stick with Shanice. So an interesting development is Naz comes out and says that Demi isn't his type. I called it, I knew it, but him to boldface say it, I was a bit surprised. I would have thought he would have kept it as we're going good, but I'm definitely open to getting to know other people with early days. But to come out and say Demi is not your type, wow, what an admission. So I feel like Naz is definitely loving the new female attention. The girls basically ask him outright who he's interested in, and he says Eva and Jamie in front of like all of the girls, and Priscilla is there, and obviously Priscilla said that she liked Naz, So it was just a bit awkward. I could tell she was a bit like disappointed because now she knows that her only option is Mike. In terms of who I think he'd pick out of Jamie and Eva, I think he is just going to pick Eva. And then obviously after that, Priscilla is quick. She's not wasting no time. She was like, okay, Naz doesn't like me. Bet onto my last and only option, Mike. They're on the daybed. They're chatting. There's some banter. They're talking about their rice type. What's their favourite rice type? But out of curiosity, obviously she Mike says long grain or basmati. What are you guys saying? You know what? I like both of them, depending on what I'm eating. If I'm just eating a stew or a sauce or something, I prefer basmati. But for fried rice, I actually prefer long grain. Obviously not jollof. For jollof, I prefer basmati. Actually, I don't actually mind, but I think I prefer basmati, but I wouldn't mind long grain. But yeah, what is your preference, long grain or basmati? But yeah, obviously Mike says that he's feeling Priscilla. So I feel like maybe the African wedding could be back on. I think Mike definitely has his game glasses back on and he was just like, what do the public want? They want black love, they want the black couple. I can do it again, you know? Also, what is tea is that he also basically insinuated that he thought that Jess was more attractive than Leanne, which is T. I think based on looks, Leanne is a prettier girl. But it's interesting to hear him say that he actually thinks that Jess is more attractive than Leanne. So Shauna, she's going through like mixed emotions in the episode. There's parts where she's like holding on to hope. And there's parts where she says that she's preparing herself for the worst. But I feel like she's still going to be mad when Callum does come back with Molly. Because it's looking very clear that Callum is coming back with Molly. But we'll talk more about that later. We have a decent challenge today. Something that is going to stir some emotions. The challenge where there's lots of things, but names say kisses and other indicating behaviour. So the highlight I'd say is Shanice chooses to lap dance on Biggs. Obviously the thing was, can one of the girls something with the alphabet give a lap dance to the boy you fancy the most? She chooses Biggs. I'm not sure whether she was just choosing a random boy or if Biggs is her type. Obviously the guys that she's gone for have been Connor, Luke T, and now she's lap dancing on this Biggs guy. Does Shanice have a type as well? Is Shanice a member of the Rebecca and Jess type society? Naz and Jamie kiss. That was a very lingering kiss. Demi kisses George, another lingering kiss. Finn sucks Natalia's toes very enthusiastically. Shauna spoons Biggs, but she cuts it very quick. Like she does not let it linger. So it just shows how much loyalty she has to Callum. And honestly, it is very disappointing. The amount of loyalty she has to Callum. Ched snogs Jess. She's absolutely loving it. It was a very lingering kiss. And Shanice kisses Biggs, but it was such an awkward kiss because I feel like Shanice was trying to keep it to a peck, but Biggs was trying to turn it into a snog. So it was like a battle of lips and teeth. It was very awkward to watch. Demi, again, sticking to her script, remembering she has to say she fancies Naz and she misses Naz. Yeah, I'm getting tired of the act. Jess and Ched get talking, and in a confessional, she's saying that she kind of likes him, but she feels like he's laying it on a bit thick. From their conversation, I didn't think that he was. I think that he was definitely intense. But maybe that's just because he's big and muscly. But in terms of Jess judging about laying it on thick, I'm just kind of thinking like, but was not Mike laying it on like extra thick? So I'm just really confused at this point where Jess draws the line on laying it thick. I think obviously maybe she's just hyper skeptical, thinking, I know all of these guys are just talking to me because they want a permanent spot on the show. So she wants to make sure that who she picks actually has a genuine interest in her rather than just using her. I think that's maybe where her head is at. Obviously, Paige, Shanice and Shauna, the So Solid crew, staying loyal to their partners. They're all kind of banding together. They're trying to support each other. And Shanice, is basically saying, she's going to stay loyal no matter what. And if Luke doesn't stay loyal, she'd rather she found out at this point So I feel like Shanice is just taking a mature approach of, what it is what it is. Whatever happens, it happens. Obviously, if Luke T comes back by himself, great. But if he doesn't, at least I know what type of person. I think like Shanice would still take it badly, but I feel like she's being the most mature in this situation. Paige is just effing and blinding like she always does. But I feel like even Paige is being more chill than she usually is. Shauna, I guess, Shanice is saying, it'll be fine, Callum will be loyal and gassing her up a bit. So, she's kind of, in the confessional, she's basically saying how she thinks she's her own worst enemy because she thinks the worst of Callum, and everyone is saying, no, he's not going to leave you. So I feel like the gassing has definitely helped. Like, I feel like she has a lot more optimism than she had yesterday, but we all know that optimism is just going to be destroyed. At the end of the show, we see the conversation that we're all anticipating. The producer took the piss and put it last. But it was basically, Finn is basically telling Callum he needs to stop thinking about Shauna and just do what makes him happy. The relationship is not working out and he just needs to explore this, otherwise he'll end up regretting it. And he asks him, obviously, Callum is talking about how he finds Molly so sexy and how he has like so much sexual attraction for her. And Finn just comes out and asks him, do you have that same sexual attraction? Are you sexually attracted to Shauna? And Callum says no. He's not, to be honest. So that just confirms it now. It's out in the open. Callum does not find Shauna attractive. And he's been only with her for convenience and probably because he's scared and he didn't want to upset her. Like throughout the episode, the other girls are trying to poke him and be like, do you want to kiss Molly? Do you still have feelings for Shauna? And he didn't want to admit it out loud. But this is just clear indication of where Callum's head is truly at. And it's been the elephant in the room. We all knew it, but we were just waiting for him to admit it. So obviously in the first look, it's just basically Shauna being upset, basically saying if she's ditched at recoupling, that she's not going to be able to live in the house with him and the new girl. And basically Callum just cracking on with Molly, him kissing Molly outside of a challenge. So I'm thinking tomorrow is going to be the last day of Casa Amor, and then the day after is going to be recoupling, and they're probably going to do it at the end. Obviously, it's very clear Callum is going to be the last person who walks in, and Shauna is going to be there standing by herself, and it's just going to be the same vibes with Amber, Mike, and Joanna. And I feel like, just like last year, I was kind of hyped. I was like, yes, I'm ready to see Amber's reaction, and that's how I'm kind of getting now with Shauna. But I know when it does happen, I'm just going to feel very bad for Shauna. And I'm already starting to feel bad for Shauna. Where are you guys at this point with it? Are you living for the pending drama? Or are you feeling sorry for Shauna at this point? People are saying that Shauna should be removed from the house. And people are already starting to feel bad for her. Obviously, there's been a lot of talk every year about mental health. Should we be considerate of Shauna's mental health here? Personally, from what I had seen, I don't know how she passed the psych test, to be honest. At the same time, I'm conflicted because, I'm an advocate for entertainment, innit? Amy was clearly crazy, but I loved watching her outbursts. So I'm kind of conflicted here. What do you guys think? Do you feel like ITV are taking it a bit too far with Shauna, or do you feel like people just need to sit back and watch the entertainment? People are already speculating that Shauna is going to be worse than Amber and worse than Georgia. Some people are saying that Callum is trash. I'm guessing these are Shauna supporters. You know what? I feel like it's a long time coming. I'm very proud of Callum for stepping out of this relationship. It was very toxic. It was very unhealthy. In terms of the unhealthy, toxic relationships that I've seen in the past few seasons, I think this definitely beats Joe and Lucy. I think this definitely beats Amy and Curtis. I think this is probably one of the most toxic relationships in the whole entire Love Island. People are saying that Callum is throwing away waifu material for a bit of a fling. I personally wouldn't want Shauna as my wife. I think she'd drive me absolutely crazy and she'll put me on anxiety meds. People are saying they respect Luke T and Finley for staying loyal. I definitely have a bit more respect for Finley. I feel like I can't really respect Luke T because he literally had no options. He didn't even have any temptation, to be honest. But yeah, some people are saying that Callum's justifications for sleeping with Molly are wrong. Obviously, he just said, he's going to sleep with Molly because that's what he feels like is right. He feels like it's natural. So that's what he's going to do. And yeah, I don't think that's a bad reason, me personally. Are already plotting to vote off Callum. I've seen quite a considerable amount of, disdain for Callum. Are we team Callum or not? Let me know what you think. I am team Callum. I'm here for Callum's emancipation. People are saying that Shauna deserves better. I think yeah, she does deserve better than Callum. But I don't think Callum was necessarily a bad guy. I think Shauna was just kidding herself. So yeah, the tweets are pretty much looking the same. That's the roundup on Twitter. For those of you wondering, my handle is at shannonbafundilaenquiries. The link is in the bio. Let me know what you thought of this episode. Let me know what you thought of this podcast. Subscribe if you haven't yet. And if you have, don't forget to press that notification bell so you know when the next podcast is dropping. Till next time, guys. Bye.